So, Janet, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Awesome. I'm ready for another episode of a Girl, a Guy, and a Movie.
So am I.
And there's this movie we just watched,
Mhm.
Catherine Mary Stewart, and I'm I'm very impressed. I like this film. This was worth it.
And you had never seen it before, right?
Yeah, I'd seen the advertisements for it. Never had watched the movie. My mom thought it had too much sexual situations mentioned in the review she read. So Bruce didn't get to watch this when I was a kid. So Bruce, as a 50-year-old man, watched it. I'm like, this is a good 80s movie. Might.
Yeah, it's definitely 80s. You cannot take the 80s out of this movie.
This film is so 80s.
Yeah, it is 80s. 100% 80s. Hair, clothes, it's everything about the way they talk, the music. It's all 80s for sure.
I'm happy that this movie exists the way it does because
Hmm.
if you kids want to see a time capsule of what we had growing up, this movie's it. Uh, this movie is completely it, including a radio station that doesn't play authentic music artists.
Well,
I'm
they couldn't
sorry.
afford it. They
I'm
only had a
sorry,
budget of
Tammy.
700,000.
Sorry, Tammy. You're not Cindy Lauper. I, as soon as that shit started, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I knew
Yeah.
too. I remembered it as soon as that songs came on. It took me out of the movie for a second because I could tell right away who that it wasn't the original singer. And then I went, oh yeah, they had a bad budget,
Yeah.
very low budget.
So
But
this movie is directed by Tom Eberhard.
hmm
Not a bad guy. He did a really cheesy movie called Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. Did Without a Clue in '88.
hmm
But there's some movies and stuff he's done throughout. He was still working up until 2008. Now I believe he's retired, sipping margaritas. But he's a very good icon of the mid '80s to the '90s, and he put out some good things. Uh, there's a show called Space Rangers. He did an episode for.
hmm
Someone is at the front door.
oops, sorry about that. Someone's at the
uh,
door. Hopefully my daughter will get it.
I I'm so sorry you have an Alexa. I
Well,
don't
I use it a lot.
I don't need to
I
see
got
every
it for
little
my
video.
door, my front door. So when I'm not available, I can have somebody. It's videoing it and
There's got
keeps
to be a
keeps track
system
of
that's
it.
outside the fucking surveillance of the government. I'm sorry.
Well, just like I told you that I caught that bear on there,
Yeah,
and then I also got that guy that whoever it was that came and took things off my porch, and then I found him in my coop because he slept in my coop. So I wouldn't have known.
true, true. Uh, Tom Eberhard or whatever, however you pronounce his name, he done some other things,
Mhm.
but this movie here is probably his most famous movie he did directing, and this is a really good film. It kind of starts with, hey, there's a comet on the way, and so this movie is kind of weird because it borrows a bit for a lot from the Cold War apocalyptic shit that you have in the majority of your '80s films,
Mhm.
and it also has a real good smattering of things going on at the time because about 1984 to '86, there was there was a little bit of a buildup where Matchbox, no, was it Match? It was Hot Wheels
Yeah.
released like a whole series of their classic cars with Haley's Comet paint schemes on them, and Haley's Comet was coming out in '86, and this movie properly capitalized on a little bit of the hype of that,
Mhm.
and also some of the stories of paranoia that came out in 1910, because some people felt that going through the tail of Haley's Comet caused various illnesses and diseases and famines because it
Mhm.
would kill off some plants.
Mhm.
Pretty interesting stuff. not exactly scientific, and we did survive the 1910 era, but it was cute because this
Yeah.
movie borrows from a lot of different things, and it makes this nice little cohesive pro-consumerism, pro-capitalism Western civilization movie, which a lot of 80s apocalyptic films. And every zombie movie is an apocalyptic movie. They never fix the zombies except in like what was it, the Nick Frost movie where Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
That's the
That
only
was a
one.
comedy.
The zombies don't get fixed. That's the only one where they do get fixed.
Hmm.
But I really do appreciate this movie here for not going down the boring ass zombie film tropes. Because for me, zombie films, 99% of them are shit. Like they're good examples of good ways to do special effects, makeup effects,
Hmm.
squibs. That's it.
Yeah.
That there's nothing else. And I'm going to tell you my bias because it's our show. It's because I got family that's not quote unquote related to me, but
Hmm.
they're family nonetheless, and they've got Alzheimer's, all through the bloodline. Like after age 75, just expect to be walking around with them with a notepad and write things down so they can have help remembering stuff. If you're not there, you can leave the notepad there for them. If they remember it, and the notepad works till they're about age 82, and then they forgot your entire name anyway, and they try not to let you in the house. It's really awful. But I hate zombie films.
Hmm.
I like you've got to be a great zombie film for me to appreciate it. Okay, this movie doesn't go down that path. It does have zombies in it or altered humans in it, but it goes down a different path, and it's very enjoyable.
Yeah, I like that part of it. The fact that it almost wiped everyone out. There were just little piles of dust, calcium dust or whatever. Because you remember a lot of things that you learn in high school about science is that we're like 98% water, our bodies. And that's why when you're cremated, it's just a pile of ash, basically. It just takes all the moisture out of you. And then they crush your, what little bit of bone might be not pulverized to make it more, acceptable to see it. And because if you saw little bits of bone in there, you probably would, it would devastate most people. So, but the thing is, I love that part of it, and the fact that they made it red, and the air, the air in the background, the
Constant
look,
filter.
yeah, it was. I loved all that. I thought it was a very good way to do special effects that were cheap, but you got the gist of it. And I love the fact that they let the actors ad lib a lot and just be themselves. It be young, try to think like teenagers, and how they would look around, and still be a little bit selfish, but yet, wow, what are we gonna do? That attitude, and I really like that. I thought that was very authentic and different than other movies, and the fact that there was only a few zombies in it. Most of the people were changing and had that funny, weird look on their face, and the hollowing of their eyes and things like that. So I like that. I thought that was really good.
I I have no problems with the way this movie was shot, with the way they did the filter for the sky, with how they used basically a free item,
Hmm.
red brick dust, and
Yeah.
like just take off your clothing and leave it here in the street. Tomorrow morning we're going to film this and it'll be done.
Hmm.
That was great. And they didn't leave it overnight in the street because it's L.A. And then they
Yeah.
got the shots. All those shots of LA with no traffic was done in midday between red lights.
Hmm.
So everything was like perfectly set up and they had just the amount of time. They probably had a running tape for like 2 minutes and they're great. We're going to edit everything out for these 30, 20 seconds, whatever it might be. And that way we can show that, get some ADR in there, make it sound silent as hell. That's perfect.
And a couple of things that they did, they were able to use a lot of people, like the police officers on the motorcycles, and they used them in the movie. that were actually cops that would help control the traffic during
Yeah.
the filming of it. And so they utilized what they had around them available to them. And that's what I'm always talking about when I'm saying how when
Be
you got a
inventive.
group of people that want to see it be successful, they take from around them, like taking a cat that they see and just put it in the scene because it's just wandering around anyways. You know, any like we did in that one movie that one of the movies that you picked. And I thought, you know, that kind of stuff is just really, really smart when it comes to saving money, but making it more authentic. I love that. I think it's great.
Hey, Snortopoopas. I'd like to say hi to some of our more regular people here. We got the Crafting Gamer, Mr. Soybase Jeremy, and Soybase Jeremy being the first in the chat. Six Nations, 31 Kings. Him and Hardwick just watched the movie with us in Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Flady, longtime viewer, good friend of ours. He's in the chat as well. I hope you're doing well, Flady. As many of us that know your situation want you to persevere and keep pushing. If you need anything, give us a call. Bubble gum and duct tape. Yeah. Use anything you can to keep yourself pushing forward, man. Snortopoopas. How you doing, sir? Dempsey, one of your good fans, he's in here. And I'm going to make a statement here in about 40 minutes. My feed for YouTube will be shutting down. However, I'll get the link in here for the Rumble because I value Rumble because they value free speech and they don't shut you down just for being an asshole. I think that's kind of important. Hold on. Janet,
Mm-hmm.
what else are you doing here in the my Rumble did not start up. I apologize. Go ahead and talk. I've got to do some things.
Okay. Well, one of the things I wanted to talk about was the use of their the way they use the beginning of the movie to like emphasize how excited everybody was basically in every city, you know, like at New Year's Eve they have parties and they had people out there, bands out there, they had vendors serving food. It was like a big party and it was around the world basically because everyone was going to get their chance as the comet went around the world, you know, as we were turning, just like, you know, the total eclipse, you know, that type of event. And they were making a big thing out of it because they had years to prepare for it. And, you know, everybody had the scared people. Now, that's the one thing. Over time, for the years of talking about it, that was one of the things that came up was that you would have certain people that would be wanting to stay in a bunker or whatever because their fear that it was going to extinct the human race. So having groups like that would have been really cool. But that's basically what they did when they did the people like the one woman that I dressed up as, the scientists that thought they were going to save the planet from extinction by having it prepared, you know, so they could start the human race over again, basically, and repopulate the planet. But an idiot forgot to push the buttons or whatever and make sure that they weren't recirculating the oxygen from outside back inside. So they were all contaminated. So what they decided at the last minute was to find survivors by listening to the airwaves and stuff to see if they could find enough people to bring in and drain their blood and make a serum for the people that were in the bunker underground. So I thought that was really good because it did show that they were greedy and they were willing to take kids, anyone, and basically, you know, put them in a coma and drain their blood so that they could make some type of serum that might cure their illness, even though they didn't know for sure if it would or not, because they had to have samples from the actual, you know, dead people that died from the comet and maybe from some zombies or whatever. But I like the fact that they still had a scientist that still was thinking about humanity and not taking lives just to prolong theirs, even because they didn't know for sure if it would even work. So, and she wanted to do it before she started changing herself, and to be able to do that, I thought that was a good point of view of that. And I always thought that after I first saw this movie, like I was telling Bruce earlier, that my aunt had this on VHS at her house, and I remember my sisters and I saw it in all the movies that she had, and we were like, "Wow, this is cool! Can we watch this movie?" And she let us watch it, and we had popcorn and everything. It was great. It was a really fun movie, and I really liked it. I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was very entertaining. The acting was good, and it was a little campy, but it was a fun movie. The one scene where the two sisters decide to go shopping because the older sister feels bad for her younger sister being depressed, and her allergies are bothering her real bad. One of the symptoms of turning into a zombie before you die and dry up, turn to dust, is itchy skin, and being really thirsty, which is what the sister was having. So they thought that she was exposed, but they get to go to the mall basically and go shopping, and the thought of that and getting to see them trying on all those clothes and jewelry and shoes and hats and playing the boombox really loud and dancing around and having fun going up and down the escalator and the stairs. I just thought that was really cool because to me, honestly, that is what some teenagers would do. And then the guys that came in and tried to attack them, basically because the one guy was changing into a zombie. Now, you don't know if the other ones were changing because they didn't look like they were, but they were doing what he told them to, I guess, because he was the boss, and they all worked at the mall because they were stock boys or whatever. But him wanting to torture them and stuff was just showing how his mind was slowly deteriorating, right? So he was becoming sick, and morbid or whatever. So I just thought all that was really cool. That was one of my favorite scenes in the movie, was the one of them in the mall dancing and trying on clothes, because that is something I know teenage girls would want to do if they had the freedom of movement. And I love the fact that all the young men that were left alive all wanted cars. They were like scoping out for the best cars they could find and driving them down the roads and the interstates and stuff, because there was no one else on the road and they could drive as fast as they wanted and no one could tell them they couldn't. And I could see all the guys wanting to do that or have guns like they were doing, wanting to shoot and act like they were macho men. I thought all of that was so believable to me when I watched it.
So, my Rumble stream, we sat in for like 3 or 4 hours without kicking off Rumble. Apparently, you have to. There's no. I preserve this stream for later on today. I didn't notice that they have that available.
Yeah.
The way you used to do it was you'd set things up on YouTube. It would set up a stream, and then whenever the StreamYard would kick off, like everything would already be set, and just press play or press record, and bam, you're live. Rumble not that way, and I may have lost my Rumble stream for today. No big deal. I did put the X link for our show, and I also got Janet's YouTube link here. If you're already a fan of Janet, go check out her X, because she has a better range on X. She's not suppressed like she is here, and I'm definitely like stepped on over here.
Yeah, I'm definitely stepped on here, and
it is what it is. I mean,
yeah,
but
that's all right.
No, it's not.
It is because it's not going to make me stop doing what I want to do.
No, it's not making me cease what I'm doing, but at the same time, like the suppression of the people that made the platform what it is, and trying to make room for CNN, CBS, ABC bullshit, mainstream garbage, CIA propaganda. It's garbage, and Flady, it isn't user friendly as it could be, but it doesn't mean it's hostile to its users, and I think that's kind of important.
I haven't had any problems with anything, any of the videos that I put over there.
You just have to kick it off. You have to key it in and kick it off within like 30 minutes or an hour. And I think they even tell you, and I just disregarded that because me and Janet still had the movie to watch.
Yeah. So, But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I really liked everything about it. I mean, except just like you said, I didn't really notice it. It didn't really ruin the movie for me,
Oh no.
but I could understand why they had to do the, secondhand singers simply because this movie only cost $700,000 to make. I mean, that is dirt cheap, even back in 1984. Very, very low budget. But they did a phenomenal job with the small amount of money that they had, with the cosmetics and stuff like that, and the locations that they used and the vehicles they used. They did have some really good explosions at the very end. So they did have pyrotechnics. I mean, they had a lot of stuff in this movie packed in,
Crammed
considering
in as best
yeah,
they could.
that it was 700,000. I'm still in awe over that. And that just shows you that the people that wanted to make this movie wanted to make it be successful. And if it hadn't gone up against, what was the name of the movie that it went up against? Was it Raiders? Or it was a movie. It came out the week after or 2 weeks after, and it stepped on them because this movie was doing pretty good,
Hmm.
considering
I mean,
how cheap it was.
hold on. It made $14.4 million on a $700,000 budget.
Yeah, that's a
In modern day,
Mhm.
they would have made a trilogy of this film because of the initial success.
Mhm.
Remember that god awful film Cloverfield, which was J.J. Abrams' prequel of
Oh,
what
yeah.
was to come,
Hmm.
and the movie went nowhere. And then there was two other movies in this Cloverfield series that they went nowhere too.
Hmm.
Like the best one of those was the one with John Goodman, but that's
Yeah,
still
the
not.
guy in the bunker.
Yeah, in
That
the
one.
bunker, and that one there is still not good. It's
It was
watchable
okay.
once. You gonna watch it again? No.
Yeah, and the kid at the very end, with the little blonde sister that thought, my sister's always stealing all my boys that I'm interested in, and now there's one decent guy left in the world, and you get him. So I just thought that was funny and adorable because that sounds like two sisters. That's how they would talk to each other, that type of thing.
I'm gonna look up the movies of 1984 real quick.
But yeah, I thought it was in the trivia, so I was trying to find my trivia that I'd pulled up, because there was something in there talking about a movie that opened up right after,
I
and it
mean,
was a huge success, a big
okay,
hit.
84 is one of the best release years for films
Hmm.
in Gen X, Gen Y, Boomers. In our existence, it's probably one of the top three. Beverly Hills Cop, Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Gremlins, The Karate Kid, Police Academy, Footloose, Romancing the Stone, Star Trek 3, Splash. With those movies right there, if you had those movies on VHS growing up, you had a really good life. You had one of the best lives growing up because you were happy. That's all there is to it. There was no way for you to not enjoy films. If those were the 10 movies that you had in your head, like for 1984, be the
Hmm.
perfect year. And also, there's other movies that are outside that top 10 list. Me and Janet have reviewed, and we can't fucking get enough of. Janet, how many times have you watched Last Starfighter since we reviewed it?
I think 6 times.
Since we reviewed it, kids.
Yeah, since we reviewed it. It's a great movie.
Hmm.
And I love all these movies. Well, there's been a few that I did say that I don't think I'll watch it again, like Midnight Meat Train. Sorry, but
Did you put that under my nail to irritate?
well, there's just a few that I'm like, it's just not my style. But the thing is, what, it wasn't as terrible as some other movies that I told y'all I'm never gonna watch. Just like you didn't like Bad Girls, that's fine. And you won't have to, I don't expect you to ever watch it again. That's fine. Or Lars and the Real Girl. So, that's boring. If we all had like the same things, you know what I mean? That's no fun.
I'm
I
trying
want to
to.
be able to enjoy different things that we like you had never seen this movie.
Yeah.
So I like it when one of us hadn't seen a movie.
Well, this movie was released in mid-November and it ran for 2 weeks, and then it got plowed by the number one movie of '84. The number one movie of '84, and I don't know if they measure this by amount of money it did all over its theatrical lifetime in
Mhm.
theaters, or if this is just the last month. I want to say this the whole time this movie was released. It brought in $234 million. That's Beverly Hills Cop.
Okay. Yeah. See, I couldn't remember what movie it was. I just remembered there was a movie that came out like 2 weeks later, and it stomped all over it.
And
Because
also,
this one was for teenagers. This was not
yeah,
pushed for mom and dad to go watch with their teenagers. It was for teenage girls and guys to go see.
yeah,
And usually they don't just base movies on that. You know what I mean? They want a family, which mom and dad will enjoy along with the kids. So,
yeah. And Flady's like, yeah, those movies made bank about a year after their release, and they compiled everything together. Yeah, you look at the exterior market, the foreign market for like Ghostbusters or Star Trek 3, and those
mhm.
movies did pretty good outside of the States.
Yeah.
Twilight 2000. All right, my polyhedral friends, don't you guys remember that? I remember the shit ton out of that. I never played it more than maybe 4 times, but we couldn't go into a game store without seeing 4 to 7 posters of Twilight 2000 all over the place. That was a hugely marketed game.
I never played it. I never even heard of it, that game.
It's it's okay. It's a relic of its time. The mechanics are kind of clunky, but it's worth playing. Um, slow F's in the chat for Ice Pirates.
I loved Ice Pirates, and I had never even seen anything or heard about it. And when you guys kept talking about space herpes and stuff, and I was like, I had no clue what you guys were referring to or anything until I got to see the movie. And it was fun. It was a fun movie too.
It is. It's a fun movie. It's worthwhile. It breaks your heart like Cutthroat Island does, because
Mhm.
both of those movies have so much studio interference. It literally interrupted the productivity of everybody at the set trying to make that a viable film. Both of those movies are crimes against media because they were both stepped on. And were they both MGM? No, Carolco was Cutthroat Island.
Mhm.
MGM's new head, he fucked up everything. Everything sci-fi that came out at the same time in '84 from MGM. That guy tried mucking up everything, and I don't know if I want to say MGM was not Dune, but there was still studio interference with Dune that year. We talk about that in the Spice Diver rewatch we do, because
Yeah,
Janet and I have watched the Dune movie. I've seen it over 30 times, easy.
I think I've seen it like 20.
That that was our first movie we got on Betamax.
Mhm.
We got a Betamax because of the increased audio quality, and I don't know how Sony did it with a smaller tape and all that, but they were able to make amazing sound, and you could tell because we bought a VHS player in 1990 and we hooked it up through the receiver setup we had. Remember, kids, when your dad would buy a receiver and then he'd buy an equalizer separate? You're, okay. I kind of miss those days. You had to be a real guru, a real tech to do that.
Mhm.
So you had to like that.
Yeah, it
Release
was.
the list and explaining the space herpes. Damn it! Exactly. Uh, yeah, this movie is brilliant in its simplicity. There's a lot of big actors in this as well. Like,
Mhm.
sorry, I was gonna write.
Was this before or after Footloose came out?
This is after same
Okay,
year, I believe, but
so
it
she
came
was
out.
still big then. That's one reason why they picked her.
Which one? Catherine Mary Stewart?
Yeah, because wasn't she in Footloose? Wasn't she the
She's
main
in.
girlfriend?
Okay, we're gonna go through her early '80s work right now, and you guys are just gonna get a pimple because of all this shit. Um, her first big movie she does is The Apple, where she stars in it. That's a canon film, a canon musical,
Yeah.
post-apocalyptic, I might add.
Hmm.
Then she does a little bit part in the movie Nighthawks, which is on the list with Stallone and Billy D. They're still
Yeah.
alive, I might add. We could have a sequel. Um, she does a few small things on TV, and then she's on an episode of Knight Rider, which was great. And she did the TV movie A Killer in the Family, and then she's in The Last Starfighter as Maggie Gordon.
Yeah.
And later
I
that
think that's
year,
the first time I ever saw her.
I don't believe she's in Footloose. I don't see
Who
her.
was the girlfriend in Footloose? What was that actress? Because that's who I thought. Kept thinking that that's who she was, but maybe I was wrong.
It's okay. I mean, she had the look. She was an it girl for about 15, 18 months.
Well, the girl that played the girlfriend on Footloose was built similar to her, very
Lori
skinny.
Singer.
Yeah, that they're all built like that, like just thin brunettes.
Blonde.
It seemed like there was a lot of brunettes.
Blonde.
She was blonde.
Catherine Mary Stewart and her are both what I would consider blonde.
Oh, she looked like a brunette in this movie.
That's the hairstyle.
Mhm.
The,
No,
it looks
the
like-
movie we just watched.
Yeah. I'm
hair
just
was
pointing out the hairstyle of the '84. This is
But
like
look how similar that they look a lot alike. I mean, they could be sisters almost.
every senior photo from the mid '80s. This is the hairstyle that they wanted to have.
Hmm.
Timothy, is that Tim? Timothy
Hutton.
Hutton, Falcon and Snowman.
Yeah, Timothy Hutton.
He finally grew into his face.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things Bears ever said.
Yeah, I remember it was Daryl Hannah had that big mane of hair too.
Yeah, she looks a lot like Catherine Mary Stewart. Good Lord.
That's why I thought they were the same actress. But I didn't really look it up or anything, but I was like, yeah, they sure look like they could be the same person or sisters or whatever. Very similar.
We got
And they're both pretty good actresses in both of those movies, I felt.
Yeah, they really did well.
Mm-hmm. But I liked it. I thought this movie had a little of everything in it. It had action in it. It had a little bit of horror. It had sadness because when they realized that, everybody's dead basically. And then Hector has to go home and see if his family's, okay. And I remember when I was first watching it, when he went in the house and he heard those noises, that it was going to be his mom, to have to see her that way. And I was glad it was a neighbor kid. It wasn't his mother. That's basically, she just turned to dust. Because if I was in that situation, I would want my loved one to not turn to a zombie. You know what I mean? I would want them to have just turned to dust or not been affected at all. And I like that they made it to where you didn't know for sure whether the younger sister had it or not. You know what I mean? Because you knew that what was it, Reggie? Is what her nickname. That where she slept, because we saw her and her boyfriend were slept inside the booth with the movies were shown at the theater, and he talked about it being in steel walls and all that stuff. So we knew she wasn't a zombie or going to change. But when the sister started scratching and being real thirsty and stuff, we saw some of the other people after the scientists explained what had happened and what the effects were going to be and how long it took and all this kind of stuff. You had that worry. And then even after the scientist that gave her the injection, talking to her, we thought for sure that, maybe she was going to take her out, but she didn't. She just put her to sleep, let her sleep to save her life. Basically, she saved her life. And I just thought that was really good. It showed you a hero, basically a person that did what they could to save a life or two, because they thought it was stupid what they were trying to do, and kill people just to see if they could, save their own lives, selfishness or whatever. So I really enjoyed that part of it.
Flady brought up something kind of important. Uh,
Mhm.
the Spice Diver edit, which has been on YouTube for over 9 years, to my knowledge.
Oh, you
They
can just watch
recently,
it on YouTube?
we just watched on YouTube, like
Yeah.
within the last 12 months. They
Mhm.
yanked it, but I found a copy of it over at the Internet Archive. All 3 hours of it is
So
there
why do you think they took it down?
because I don't know, communism. They're like,
Well, that's one of them.
I mean
Things.
that's the one thing that, like, you ask me a question, I'm going to go to my first default answer: communists. But no, they don't like the fact that you like might enjoy something that somebody's not making money on. You're always welcome, Flady. Anytime you've got a question about, hey, I'm looking for this lost media, hold on, let me see what I can do for you.
Yeah, that's good.
Um, I want to make just like a quick segment here. We got Sharon Farrell. She plays Doris Belmont.
Hmm.
She plays the cunty mom or stepmom of
Yeah, the
characters.
stepmother.
And that, like, I was surprised when she fucking plowed Kelly Maroney. I was not expecting that, and that actually looked like a good hit.
Yeah.
It didn't look fake.
Hmm.
I was really surprised.
You
You also,
know what was sad about that is I knew three friends when I was in high school that basically had step parents that treated them that way, slapped them around, pushed them around, bossed them around when their parent wasn't around. And they said, I can't wait to tell, she goes, I can't wait to tell dad. But you tell him, and then he'll buy you something or make her apologize. And she would and say, I was really sorry, I had a bad day or whatever, excuses. And then it would just happen again the next time. And to me, that was sad that, that kind of abuse went on, and it does every day in the United States. So to me, that was even realistic, because I knew people that went through that kind of shit with their step parent, because their kids that they brought into the marriage were the focus. The kids that came along with him were just whatever, and I just thought that was horrible. But that to me was totally believable when they put that in that story, at least to me, when I got
then
to watch it.
we also have another classic B movie actress here,
Mhm.
and that's going to be Mary Warnoff. This is in Here Come the Monsters from '85.
I never saw that.
Not exactly a good film, but it's a film.
Oh my God.
It's an experience. Mary Warnoff, she's in this movie. She's also in Death Race 2000 as
Mhm.
Calamity Jane, which we're going to watch that at some point. Uh, she played Audrey, the scientist that
Mhm.
she tries killing off the younger sister, and it was she does a really good, like, government worker job of being just an ass to the survivors. I thought she did really good with this movie, and she's been all over Hollywood for decades.
Mhm.
I believe she's still with us, but here she is in Eating Raoul. She doesn't even look like the same lady. She can chameleon herself really well, but go for
Yeah.
another still of Here Come the Monsters. We're gonna have to watch that movie at some point.
Yeah. I've never seen it.
Neither have I.
Here
And
Come the
I'm
Monsters.
Eating Raoul is supposed to be good. Uh, Side note: Eating Raoul also has Chatafe, or whatever, however you pronounce this guy's name.
Oh, it's got the same actor.
Yeah, same actors in it from
Yeah, I
Voyager.
thought he looked familiar.
What? You didn't know that?
No, I didn't realize he was the same guy that was in Star Trek.
Nah. This Red Letter Media cued me in on this. Uh, Everybody ties back to Star Trek. Star Trek has gotten so large, and if we could just tie it off, if we could just cut that umbilical cord and say after Enterprise, there's no more Star Trek. Snip. We'd still have a big wealth of actors and such, but
Mhm.
we're gonna have to talk about this at some point, like with all the good Star Trek that came out and all the bad Star Trek that came out. Just he's a hell of an actor. From what I've heard, he's good at conventions too.
Yeah.
He's also in Sci-Fi Essentials Manticore. What do you think the number is on IMDb for this, Janet? What's your bet
For Manticore,
for Manticore?
I've never seen it, so I don't have a clue. A 7? I don't know. I'm guessing.
You're right with a 7,
Oh,
3.7.
3.7. Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Have no
So-
idea what it is.
Anyway, Mary Warnoff and Beltran are both in that movie. She's quite a chameleon, and she also had some really good acting chops. But would recommend if you see her in films. She's also in Babylon 5.
Well, I want to say something as it popped in my head while I was thinking about it. But you laughed, so when you laugh when you're watching the movie, and I get to hear you laugh, especially if it's a movie I've seen and you haven't, was the scene where Regina is playing the machine, the electronic machine, pinball machine like thing, a video game machine.
Playing Tempest.
Yeah, and she's playing that game, and she's pissed off when it gets to the end of the thing and sees that DMK is in the slot where her name used to be, and she's pissed off. Now she's got
to clear the
his
fucking
name off the list,
she's
right?
the only one allowed to be on the high score table, Janet.
I know. I just thought it was so great.
Do you not understand the level of obsession that person has? When you go to see the fucking high score table and your name's not there, that means you put in a quarter and you try to get on that fucking high score table. That's exactly what that
What
means.
was so cute was the ending, you know, when the kid that showed up that thinks her sister's hot is the guy whose initials was in the machine. And his license plate even said it. So I don't know how he got the license plate that said DMK, but I thought that was funny. So I don't know if that guy died or he lived. See what I mean? Because he said his name and it was the same. He was a rich brat or whatever.
He didn't have to be rich. He just had to go to a mall after all this shit happens.
Well, you saw his car at the end, right? He had the convertible with his initials on the license plate.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember when he said his name?
Yeah, it was his. It was his. Shit.
So he ended up living. And remember, she said, "Die, DMK. You're dead," whatever. And he wasn't. That's what I thought was so adorable at the end. Little things like that is what made this movie so good. You know what I mean? It was campy and fun. It was a fun movie for teenagers. And you could definitely tell when you watch it, there he is right there, that it was oriented for teenagers. And I think that's why it made so much money, for being a movie that only cost $700,000 to make. That they put a lot of work into it to attract teenagers. And the thought process that went into writing the script was oriented towards teenagers. And also, some of the things that I read, it said that the director encouraged them to improvise, and use their own words like she did with the guns about Uzis. Their daddy would have got us Uzis, that was something she just made up.
That's
when her gun really did jam. So I thought it was great. And because they both had their own little attitude, but you could tell that they worked well together, like when they're arguing about her getting the last man, for herself, she's stealing him. And then they started laughing, and then they got off of it because they were sisters, and they accepted it. They didn't, they weren't rivals. They were sisters, even though they butted heads. They still worked things out because they had to. They're sisters. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it made sense to me because I had 4 sisters. So, but I loved it. I just loved this movie. I thought it was really, really good. I mean, I don't know why the rating is so low on Rotten Tomatoes, but I thought it was great. I liked it. It's in my top 20 movies.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love horror. And if it's a sci-fi horror, it's even better. You know what I mean? It's got a little of everything in it, and it makes it fun, and it's fun. believe me, I don't watch very many movies over and over again. They have to have something, you know, they have to have something that makes me want to sit down and watch it again, since I already know what's going to happen. But see, you'll watch it again now simply because you're going to watch see the DMK stuff.
I already know about the DMK.
Well, I know, but this time you'll know it's coming. And when she says "die DMK," she's so excited, pumped up.
I laughed before it showed the license plate, because as soon as it said Keener, I put it in my head like DMK. Fuck.
Yeah, he lived.
Yeah.
And then he drives off. He lived. See, it wasn't he was there.
That's not a bad thing, because like
No.
it shows you that like there's going to be video game competitions in the future.
Mm-hmm. And that she's going to have to compete with him. So that was funny. And they're sisters, and now her sister's man is the one that's going to beat her ass at the video games. Because just because you know, everybody else is dead doesn't mean they're going to stop doing fun things. And that's another thing that I liked. The kids didn't take it the same as the grown-ups. We see how the grown-ups were ready to start killing people off just to save themselves. The kids were working together as a team to try to save the two kids, you know, that type of thing. I like that, because if we could start over, you know, and work together to be successful, it doesn't matter that we're all different. That kind of thing. I love that. I thought that was a really good, you know, point of view for the younger people, to the way they were looking at things. But I was expecting, I remember, the military somewhere, you know, to show up. And I don't remember anything about the military at all in this one. I guess that would have been way too expensive for the budget.
I think,
you know, a tank or whatever, or airplanes or anything like that. But I thought one thing was really cool that it popped in my head when I saw the scientist who she was smoking, you know, while she was on the computer trying to look at some stuff, and she's flicking her ashes into this ashtray that had a fan in it. Because my mother had a fan like an ashtray like that. I remember that, because my mother smoked. She was always smoking. So
I think the reason why we had this large focus on teenagers in the 1980s is that at the time there was a huge cultural shift towards conservative movement because of Ronald Reagan. And so all these Hollywood directors like immediately grabbed all the young kids they could. John Hughes grabbed his net, Chris Columbus, and they started netting these guys and trying to kind of force like, hey, the young kids, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. Because like the last election, Dukakis was voted. Almost his entire demographic is young people. Mondale had a large young contingent. Like that was they didn't win the youth vote until like 2004. Of all things, John fucking Kerry, the who I served in Vietnam. But the 80s directors, part of the cultural shift at the time, they were trying to throw things more and more progressively, and that way you saw more and more teenage movies on the rise. I might be wrong on that. That's just Bruce's personal opinion.
But no, I thought it was really, I just loved it. I thought it was really fun. And everyone I know that I've talked to that's seen the movie felt the same way. They said it was a lot of fun and they liked the movie too. So it wasn't just me. And the fact that it was making money and it made a huge profit for the company that made the movie, it proves that it was good. And if it hadn't been for a few other movies that came out, it probably would have made even more money. But I could see, honestly, I really could see this movie, this storyline made into a TV series right now and put on TV, as long as they kept it authentic 80s. With the clothing and all the stuff and the way that the kids were evolving and how they collect more people. You see what I mean? All that stuff. I think it would be very successful, because everyone likes the 80s. You know what I mean? At least that they all talk about it. Even kids that today, they thought the 80s was cool, you know? So.
Well, we've got some counterculture movements in like music where we're trying to get away from auto tuning. So you have a lot of internet music that's pushed by the fans, grassroots fans. and they're really big on things like no auto tune in any music whatsoever. Like we want to have kids that are talented, want to have people that've got a voice. That's why you see the rise of little bands like Liliac, which is literally heavy metal Partridge Family.
Hmm.
If you want to see a family group, the oldest daughter's still in the group, even though she's raising a child and not in any videos. She's still doing recording. She's still doing stuff with her
Hmm.
family. But the other four siblings are all part of this band that their dad, a record producer, like, I'm going to Frankenstein the world's greatest rock band whenever they need rock and roll. And that's
Hmm.
exactly what he did. It is at this time. I do apologize. I just put the link in the chat. Go to my ex or go to Janet's show and watch us because I'm going to kill YouTube. I want to show something. Janet, your YouTube might get slammed on this, but
Oh,
I've
go
got
on.
to show this.
Okay.
It's Kelly Maroney. If you want to see Kelly Maroney as I remember her before this movie was exposed to me in full today. So for those of you that are on my channel with YouTube, thank you ever so much. Please follow Janet and me on X. Next time I'll do better and I'll figure out my fucking Rumble and I'll not fuck that up. I promise
Yeah,
you.
if you're on X,